Look, I have been excited to do a test ride before, but this is on a whole other level. Last season, Polaris introduced the 9R engine package in the mountains. They even sent us a Chaos 9R to test out at home, which was both awesome and totally useless, but it gave us a chance to experience how this engine performs. It didn't take long for all of us, but especially AJ and I, to decide that Polaris's next sled absolutely needed to be an XCR with the 9R engine package. And my idea was to call it the XC9R. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is what we wanted.
Out of the ashes, a phoenix arises. Faith of a mustard seed can move any mountains. The people are watching, so I cannot stop it. Been down for too long now, I gotta rock it. Had to get it out the mud, you know how it goes. Now we sitting at the top, catching with the pros. Never thought I'd be the one who played a role.
Let's get into talking about what the XCR 9R is made of, then we'll talk about what it's like to ride. And to start, it's obviously based on the Matrix chassis. I mean, really, the platform is just a normal XCR with all the good stuff an XCR comes with standard. Things like top-of-the-line, fully adjustable Walker-Evans high-low shock package, lightweight racing brake, tunnel and rail stiffeners, four-wheel rear axle, solid idler wheels, a 2.52 pitch track, and matching drivers, stronger suspension arms, and the list just goes on and on. The XCR is nearly identical to the sled that the factory Polaris cross-country racers ride, so it's extremely capable and durable, because it has to be to survive that kind of racing. Out back, you'll find a 136-inch version of the Pro CC skid frame that, when combined with those stellar Walker-Evans shocks, can be set up to ride smooth as butter on average trails, or to handle massive bumps and moguls at crazy speeds. Up front, you'll find Polaris's legendary Matrix front suspension that offers near flawless ride and handling characteristics we constantly rave about. There's not much else to say, really. Now let's talk a little bit about the 9R engine itself. This is quite possibly the coolest engine ever offered in a trail sled. It was originally designed in Polaris's race shop as a race engine. It's based on the 850, but features many billet parts, a lightweight crankshaft, and other goodies that make it lighter, more responsive, and obviously more powerful than any other naturally aspirated engine in the industry. Polaris doesn't make any official horsepower claims for any of their motors, but if you use what little information they do give and do some basic math, you'll find that the 9R is making somewhere around 175 to 180 horsepower. So we're in turbo horsepower territory here, but the 9R is actually even lighter than the naturally aspirated 850, which means it's considerably lighter than the Boost, which means power to weight is off the charts. One of the most impressive aspects of the 9R though is how quick it revs and builds power. But don't get me wrong, the 850 is impressive, best in class in fact, and the Boost is simply insane. But neither come even close to the 9R when you grab a handful of throttle. Seriously, you better be holding on really, really tight. Power off the bottom is definitely strong, but where the 9R really shines is in the mid-range and top end. In the mid-range, it actually feels more powerful than the 850 or the Boost, and at the top end, it just keeps pulling and pulling like the turbo, it just gets there quicker. Before I spent any time on the XCR 9R, I had every expectation that it would be a rough, raspy, angry motor that would be a handful on the trail, but I couldn't have been more wrong. It's almost unbelievable to think that a twin-cylinder 900cc engine that makes this much power could actually feel buttery smooth, entirely civilized, and easily rideable all day with no excessive vibration. Let's be honest, other 900 twins we've had in the past were anything but smooth and civilized, but this one truly is. I'm going to be completely upfront about the fact that I haven't had enough time to truly evaluate the fuel and oil consumption or long-term durability of this engine package. I mean, it's going to be a thirsty engine. Making horsepower requires fuel. But because it's so smooth and because it's got such great trail manners, I actually think it might not be as thirsty as I originally thought it would be. Last season, the 9R mountain sleds had plug fouling issues, which were addressed later in the season with a new spark plug. So far, we haven't had any plug fouling issues with our XCR 9R, but time will tell. What I can comment on is that the 9R starts and runs smooth. It doesn't smoke excessively or load up when you let it idle. I keep coming back to this, but for an engine like this, it's just so perfectly refined. Now, I thought at first that the lighter weight of the 9R engine would make this whole sled feel more lightweight and flickable. And it does, it's just not as dramatic as I originally thought it would be. This isn't to say that it doesn't feel light compared to a turbo. It definitely does. And the ultra-fast revving nature of the engine makes it feel faster and more engaging to ride, as does the slightly more aggressive exhaust note. So now you know how the XCR 9R feels to ride, and you know that my thoughts are it's every bit as awesome as I always knew it would be. But I imagine the question you're wondering most of all right now is whether or not it's worth the extra money over an 850, and I do have some more thoughts on that. The 850 XCR is an incredibly impressive snowmobile. In our testing, it's the best in its class. It comes with a comparatively reasonable price tag as well. If you want more performance, your only avenue in 2024 was to go with the Boost, which obviously came with both a weight and price penalty. In 2025, you can get nearly the same performance of a Boost, but with no weight penalty and none of the added complexity that comes with a turbo. The 9R is priced very comparable to a Boost, so if it's more performance, lighter weight, and less complexity that you're looking for, and you're willing to pay for it, I think the 9R is the best choice.